What's up, guys? It's Gothic, aka Sam, and today, I know this is a day late, but I am just getting it up because I had to work yesterday. So, let us get started. Bright and early the next morning, I scurried through the halls searching for Satch. I had to catch him before he went into class. There's no way I could show my face in a senior's classroom with everyone still hating me. I turned a corner and was confronted with a flash of bright yellow. Hey, Hana, what are you up to? Caddy stood in front of me, his head tilted to one side. I didn't know him too well. In fact, this was possibly the first time we ever spoke on our own.
Hey!
Hey, Caddy, have you seen Satch? I think he was up before. Something wrong? Nope, I made these flyers and I want to give them to him. I nodded at the pile of papers I was holding. They were nearly as tall as my torso. Caddy blinked as if seeing them for the first time. Cool. He smiled weakly. I paused. Is something wrong? He shoved his hands into his jacket pockets and glanced around the hall. I wouldn't say anything's wrong, per se. He trailed off, but didn't volunteer any information. Is it about the tournament? In a way, you could say that. He cast his eyes on the floor. Things suddenly don't look too good for us. That's too bad. He looked truly sad, but try as I might, I couldn't hide my glee. He looked at me in surprise, then a sharp gleam entered his eye. Don't go thinking it's in the bag yet, Miss Mizuno. We'll give you a right run for your money. If you say so. Giggling madly, I scurried past him and up the staircase. My fingers were starting to cramp. It wasn't that the flyers were particularly heavy, though they were by no means light, but they were horribly awkward to carry, especially up staircases. I pushed the staircase open with my back and entered the third floor. From across the empty hallway, I saw a familiar figure standing in front of a locker.
Good morning.
Aha! Hana. I dashed to Satch and dropped the pile of flyers in front of him, heaving. Perhaps running up those stairs wasn't such a bright idea. What brings you up here so early? Look! I took a flyer and shoved it in his face. He stepped back and peered at the writing. Be a good date. Don't turn your books in late. What is this?
Well,
I made flyers to help for your search for the missing books. I didn't want you to keep working on this alone, so... Oh, Hana. He cringed, scratching the back of his neck. That's great, but I don't know that the librarian would be happy with these. She'll think they'll highlight what a terrible job she's doing. Oh. I stared at the stack of flyers on the floor, stretching my hands to ease their stiffness. Still, he leaned down and flipped through the sheets. Did you make all these yourself? Yeah, last night. Mai helped me too. Your handwriting is really nice. Thank you. My hand got really tired at the end though, so I'm not sure if the ones at the bottom are any good. He straightened and stretched, then stood for a while looking out the window. You know, I bet I can find something to do with them after all.
really?
Really? Yeah, if we use them right, they may even reduce the library workload. Happiness bloomed in my chest.
Yay!
That's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Thank you so much, Hana. It really means a lot. I had to do something to help you. He smiled and reached a hand towards me as to ruffle my hair, but then stopped mid-gesture and instead turned back to his locker. Well, I need to get to class early today, so I'll be seeing you.
See you later.
Right, well, have a good day. I will. You too, Hana. Make it copacetic. He took the stack of flyers and put them in his locker. Then he left for the classroom further down the hall. As I watched the door close, I realized he hadn't been distant at all this time. With a heart lighter than it was in days, I skipped down the stairs and headed to my own class. Time to make up the homework I didn't do last night. It was only a few minutes before my exhaustion began to hit me. I did not handle the lack of sleep well, either. I quickly grew grumpy and irritable, and Mai, recognizing this from an all-nighter I pulled to write an essay a few weeks ago, gave me my space. Aside from that, class went just as expected. The normal Boots boys avoided my eyes the entire period, excepting the occasional vomit-inducing glance from Shane. He seemed to be taking the situation much more seriously than the rest of them, and I had no idea why. I never did anything to him, but for some reason he was never fond of me, or my hair. I was a little closer to John and PBG, though. I expected at least polite contact with them, but it seemed difficult for them to even look at me. PBG especially seemed to be taking it hard. He was a kind soul, but I didn't think he'd be able to continue isolating Mai and me if he didn't have the others to support him. Anyway, as it was, anytime I accidentally crossed paths with him, he seemed to be fighting an internal battle. Flickers of emotion would pass across his face, regret, sadness, disbelief. So of course he ended up turning around and heading back from whence he came. He'd been late to class several times. Shouldn't they know me better than this? Shouldn't they know I wouldn't do something like that to them? But what do we really have in common? A shared school, a tournament, the possibility of a shared hobby? Friendship meant different things to different people. To me, they were still my friends, but I guess to them. I was jolted back into reality as the bell rang. The chaotic shuffling and clatter of students filled the room in the rush to leave for lunch. PBG, John, and Shane left the room faster than I thought humanly possible. Any hopes I had of walking to lunch together with them vanished. Guess they didn't want to be my presence any more than they had to be. Sighing, I zipped my bag shut, then I felt a hand on my shoulder. Ian and Luke stood behind me, gazing at me in sympathy. At least Luke seemed sympathetic. Ian was being Ian. It was hard to tell what he was feeling with a face as impassive and disdainful as his.
Hey.
What's with the long face?
You really have to ask?
Nah, I guess not. I just shouldered my bag in the silence that followed. I wasn't sure whether there was a point to this conversation. I just wanted to leave. You know, you don't need to worry. I resisted the urge to roll my eyes.
Don't I?
The Normal Boots Club are great people.
Great people who drop me at the first sign of trouble.
Look, I believe you're innocent, and because of that, I know they'll recognize it too. Just give them time. I mean, they can't all be as smart as me. He grinned like a proud school kid.
How do you know I'm innocent?
Luke laughed. He turned to Ian, who grimaced. It's time to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Luke followed Ian out of the room, whistling. I don't know who was the weirder out of those two. I guess it doesn't matter, does it? They're both pretty hot.
Is that all you think about?
Bingo.
I gotta have something to keep my spirits up in these dark times. And dark times call for drastic measures. I shook my head.
Let's get going. Maybe they'll have lobster for lunch again.
Yeah.
I sure hope so. We just came out of Poppy Hall when Mai stopped dead in her tracks. Oh shoot. What's wrong? I forgot my lunch money. Would you mind waiting here? I'm gonna run back and get it.
That's okay. I have more than enough for both of us.
Really? Is it okay if I mooch off you?
Yeah.
Sure.
Mai jumped to my side, giving me a great big hug. Hana, you're the greatest. I'll promise I'll pay you back.
You better.
It wasn't like I could afford to be giving people handouts, especially not for Asagao's crazy expensive food.
Come on, let's go.
I'll tell you a secret in return.
What's that?
Once, I saw Jeff shoving hamsters with helmets on them into tiny little cannons.
What?
What? He was trying to shoot them off into space. I mean, creeps found him in time and stopped him, but I think he might have kept the hamsters too.
Thank goodness.
Maybe. I'd rather think about death by cannon than going home with creeps.
You have a point there.
And now you know why Jeff's called Space Hamster.
Let's go to lunch while I still have my appetite.
Deal. Really? That's the backstory? That's the backstory you give Space Hamster, though? Okay, I can't. We waited in line. I'm so tired. We waited in line for our food, conscious of several stares shooting in our direction. Ignore them. Look, we got strawberry shortcake today.
Yeah, great.
I hated being stared at. We gathered food under our trays and began the slow walk to the back of the cafeteria where our table was now located. Why did the Normal Boots Club sit in the middle of the cafeteria? We had to walk past them and everyone was watching. I tried to concentrate on the smell of strawberries and ham wafting from my tray, but only found myself thinking of Jared's cologne. I can't with that. Okay. Why does he smell like ham? Oh, get a grip. As we trudged past them, Mai nudged me and smiled in their direction. No one was looking. They were all suddenly engrossed with their chopsticks and spoons, everyone except Satch. Just before we made it toward our table, something caught my attention. Jeff was smiling and waving at us. After a pause, the rest of the Hidden Block Club joined in.
Oh!
Mai and I smiled and waved in return and sat down at our table with lifted spirits. Neither of us looked at each other, but we were thinking the same thing. The Normal Boots Club wasn't the center of the universe, and why really did we expect anything different from them? So you know, I've been thinking.
That's a bad sign.
Rude. Who do you think would take the boots and why? The Normal Boots Club is the most universally beloved.
Why is that anyways?
They're a group of crazy hot men surrounded by pubescent girls. You do the math.
Right, got it.
Well,
Maybe they have a crazy fan that took it then. She wanted to get their attention?
Seems like an odd way to do it. They'd hate you afterwards.
They say the opposite of love is indifference, not hatred.
No, there has to be something in it for them.
You don't think that the Hidden Block Club...
We glanced over at their table. We waved to him. Caddy beamed and waved back. Ian rolled his eyes. I thought it was them at first, but now I don't think so. They're a lot nicer than I thought they were.
I agree. There's no way they do it. Plus, the Normal Boots guys are their friends.
And the boots were locked up. Someone had to get access when no one was looking.
A school official?
You think?
I mean, the librarian hates everyone in our school, and Satch in particular. Plus, there's that creepy nurse.
I forgot about him.
Why does he wear that mask?
Oh, I love creeps. I love Creeps. Creeps with Pasta is the best character. Even though he's hardly ever in it, but I love Creeps. Okay. I heard he killed his cat, and now he thinks his soul's inside it.
He wouldn't have killed the cat, would he?
Rumor has it if you take the mask away from him, half his face is burned.
What? From what?
His ex-wife tried to kill him. He glanced in our direction. We snapped our attention back to our food.
Okay, let's just pretend it's not him. There's no way I can face that guy. Who hasn't voted for hurting the Normal Boots Club?
We do.
Well, now we do, not then. What about?
A clatter rang out and a hush fell across the cafeteria. Muffled, angry voices came from the middle of the room. Shane and Satch seemed to be having some sort of disagreement. Shane was waving his arms wildly and pointing towards us. Satch shook his head vehemently. PBG grabbed Shane's shoulder, but Shane shook it off. Finally, he seemed to settle down. Staring at the floor, he said something. The rest of the group stared at him in shock. A brief pause. Satch gathered up his things and took leave of the table.
He's not leaving the club.
What?
No way. That can't be right. Satch strode across the cafeteria. I am so tired. I'm so sorry. Words are just not coming out right now. It's okay though. We'll get through this together. Satch strode across the cafeteria, stopping just over our table. Heat radiated off of him. He was still upset, though his expression didn't suggest it. Mind if I sit here?
Of course, go ahead.
He placed his tray next to mine, sat down, and proceeded to eat his fish burger. Everything about him looked the picture of calm. It was only because he was sitting next to me that I could see he was slightly trembling. After a while, the conversation started up again. The Normal Boots guys looked mournfully at Sketch, but no one made a move to follow. Sketch? I don't know what's going on with my mouth today. I can talk, I swear. This is like the most screwy episode I've ever recorded. Satch ignored them.
So...
I think you're innocent.
Thank you.
I could let this keep going. Friends don't do this. People shouldn't do this. I understand why, but they were letting fear crowd their compassion. I couldn't do it. A small warmth bloomed within me, and tears pricked the back of my eyes. Do you think I'm innocent too? Satch turned to Mai, who looked at him uncertainly. Well, I trust Hana's faith in you.
Oh, well, good.
I think. Let's talk about something happier. How about? The rest of lunch passed comparatively uneventfully. The Hidden Block guys each gave Satch a pat on the back on their way out, with the exception of Caddy, who shook his hand. The Normal Boots men continued to ignore Mai and me. Before we both knew it, class ended and the day was over. That night, I lay in my bed watching an anime about loony high school girls, and there was a knock on my door. Do you know who that is?
No.
Oh, well, you get it. Rude. I pushed myself out of my bed and opened the door.
Hana.
Hey, Hana.
Hey.
Satch, what are you doing here?
He was beaming at me, hopping up and down like a kid in an amusement park. There's something I want to show you. Will you come with me?
Sure. Mai, I'll be back later, okay?
Mai only grunted in return. Together, Satch and I crossed the Bluebell house. I've been working on this for a long time, at least a few years, but I think I finally made a breakthrough. I wanted to test it out, but things have been kind of tense lately, so I thought I don't think I can ask Jared to do it.
Yeah.
Then I remembered I had you, and you said you wanted to help me out, so I finally figured out something you could do. He was talking a mile a minute, and I barely registered what he was saying before we found ourselves in his room. Sorry about that. It was just as Spartan as I anticipated, being the love child of Jared and Satch. Yeah, Jared is out right now. That's why I came so late.
Where's he?
He had to go in the city for some reason. He did not look happy about it. He went to his closet and pulled out a large blanketed lump. Here it is. He removed the covering with a flourish. On the floor in front of me was some kind of machine, wires connected to a helmet with a visor and an oddly shaped, almost square box. Satch kneeled next to it and started fiddling with a few things. See, I could test it myself, but it's a little harder because I'm the one who made it. I know how it's supposed to work. I have expectations.
Really? Expectations?
Yeah.
It's everything with this, so I don't know if it's actually working or I'm manipulating it somehow. Plus, I can't even calculate the effects when I'm wearing it. I'm not sure if my perception of time is whack or if again, I'm messing up the... You shouldn't be hearing this or I'll mess you up your run-through. Don't mind me.
But what is this?
A virtual reality machine. At least that's what I hope it is. But no more questions. They'll ruin your experience. Satch flipped a number of levers and the machine began to hum at a dangerously high pitch. Noticing my worried glance, Shane chuckles. Shane? Now we're doing Shane's route, guys. Golly, I have to record 2 more episodes of stuff, and I hope that my voice doesn't do this, like my talking mouth doesn't do the things that it's doing. Okay. Satch chuckled. Don't worry, this thing is completely safe. I fell asleep wearing it once. Even Jared didn't notice. Were they deaf or something? That thing was giving me a headache. Finally, he finished whatever he was doing and held the helmet out to me.
You really want me to do this?
Well...
Please, wouldn't you, Hana? He looked at me, eyes shining. It was the cutest thing I ever saw. I couldn't say no to those dimples.
Fine, hand it over.
Oh, look at how cute that is. The helmet was surprisingly heavy. I took my glasses off and set them down. I wondered whether my neck would be okay for wearing it for so long, but when I slid it over my head, the cables fell across my back and eased the weight somewhat. I couldn't see anything inside the helmet, not even Satch's room. Sweat started to build on the felt lining.
Pathetic.
Okay, I'm going to turn it on now, alright? If you say so. In his excitement, Satch couldn't seem to tell I was at all apprehensive. I heard a snap, and then the wires on my back started to vibrate. A burst of light blew through the helmet. I felt horribly dizzy, as if I was being rolled down a barrel in a hill.
I don't feel so good.
Hang on, it's almost... Satch's voice was fading away, as if he was jogging down a long tunnel.
Satch?
The dizzying sensation stopped.
Yeah.
Complete. His voice floated towards me, a delay between the syllables as if they were bouncing off a mountainside. In fact, I was by a mountainside. I shivered. Despite the lushness around me, it was cold here. Something tickled my legs, and I looked down to see long shafts of grass grazing my ankles.
You've got to be kidding me. This is a game?
I heard a voice in the distance. Was it Satch? But it was drowned out by the wind. Suddenly, the dizziness returned. I felt myself being sucked down into something, and I shut my eyes tight. When the sensation stopped, I opened them. I was in a completely white room. To my right, there was a brown table. 2 cakes sat upon it, a white one, which I somehow believed to be vanilla topped with whipped cream, and a chocolate one with oozing fudge on the inside. I was overwhelmed by the desire to take one, but which? Chocolate. The cakes disappeared, and in their places appeared a moon and star, light shining across the tabletop. The moon flickered through different stages in its cycle, while the star changed shades from white, blue, purple, back to white. Another choice? I like moons. I picked up the moon in my hands. It was cold to the touch, and it rose to the air in front of me. Just as it made it over my head, not a hard feat considering how short I was, it exploded and a chime played. A small pink box appeared and I opened up on its own. A piece of paper slithered out and rolled itself before me. A quest? Nervous but excited, I read it. You are a person who appreciates your physical reality. While you try to make it constant and stable in your everyday life, you have many faces. You often feel lonely because you do not feel because you feel not everyone understands your many different aspects. Your personality shifts frequently, though you tend to dislike change. Be strong and work even harder. Your goals will soon be realized.
A fortune?
The room disappeared and I was left in darkness. And that's where we're going to end this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, please leave a like, comment down below, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!